Kim's here. She's the vice president, is that correct? At the foundation to share with us today around this special information. We have about a half hour, so I don't want to take up too much of her time, but I would, as always, like to open our programs with a word of prayer. So let us pray. Loving and gracious God, we give you thanks for this day and this chance to gather here to learn more, both here at Christ Church and online, those who are watching. We pray that you would open our hearts and minds to what Kim has to share with us regarding the ways that we can live into this life of generosity that you've called us to live through legacy giving. And we ask this as always in Jesus' most holy name. Amen. Okay, Kim, come on up.
Good morning. There is a handout if you catch it on your way in, if you want to take that with you. And there are brochures. I think Bob Simpson has some of those. Can you hear me okay? Hello? Okay. Is that better? Okay, good. Every time I go to another church, God always reminds me how we are connected. And I sat outside in your nice welcome area, and they sang, Draw the Circle Wide. We sing that at our church, and we stand in a circle and we hold hands, and it just reminds me how we are connected and how we are part of one church. And I'm always grateful that God reminds me of that every time I go somewhere else, because this is my church too. And I'm thankful to be here with you today. I wanted to talk today about legacy giving. In Genesis, we learn that we are created in God's image. And if we think about God, God is generous. God gave us his son. God gives us love and grace. God is generous. And we are called to follow God and to live in God's image. And one of the ways we can do that is through giving. Our job at the foundation, Jeff, the president, explained this to me before I even started working here, is for us to match your need to give with the needs in ministry. That's a sacred place to find. And that's what we do at the foundation. We help people find that sacred place where your desire to give and the church's needs in ministry meet. Legacy giving means, just to define it, giving from accumulated resources. We don't always want to talk about it in church. Jeff titled this, We're Afraid to Ask. For one thing, we don't really like to talk about money in church, which is a little odd because Jesus talked about money. But and often a lot of churches that I visit are really concerned about the day-to-day expenses and meeting those expenses, and are a little afraid that if they talk about planned giving, they will compete with that. But that really isn't a concern, because as we'll talk about in a second, legacy giving comes out of a different pocket than annual giving does. There are two pockets for giving. One of them is our income, and that's our salary and our interest and dividends that we may earn off of stocks or bonds. Our retirement income, Social Security, annuity payments, all of that is our regular income that we use to pay the rent, to buy the groceries, to put gasoline in the car, to pay the car payment. That's our everyday income. Legacy giving comes from accumulated resources. Accumulated resources are savings accounts, real estate, personal property, retirement plans, insurance, appreciated security. So we'll talk about that today, but that's the source of legacy giving when you think about it. They don't compete. And when someone gives to your church all the time, every day, every week, they love the church. They think of you as family. And they're going to use the other pocket to support you as well. This weekend, my husband is on a bike ride. He is riding from Cumberland, Maryland to Washington, D.C., and it's 185 miles. Now, I can ride a bike and I don't fall over, but that's really about it. I mean, I don't even know if I could bike a mile or not, but 50 miles for him is nothing. He is a bike rider, like with capital letters. And when you're that committed to something, you have tools. He has this great tool that you hook on I don't know what it's called, but you hook it on the wheel. The wheel? Yeah. Extend it out and twirl it around the tire to separate the tire from the rim if you have to change a flat tire. It's a very specialized tool that's perfect for that. That's what we do at the foundation. I mean, we don't change bike tires, but we do help people find the right tool for planned giving, for legacy giving. Some of those tools are listed on the screen. They include bequests and beneficiary designations, charitable gift annuities, charitable remainder trusts, insurance policies, life insurance, retirement. And we'll talk about each of those today. First one is bequests. As I travel around the annual conference, surprisingly, I find that people don't always know they can leave a bequest to their church or to other charities, but you can. A bequest is a very flexible way to leave a legacy gift, and it is revocable, meaning you can change it as your needs change or as the needs of the ministry change. It's the easiest way to give the bigger gift because you really have separated those pockets when you think about a bequest. A bequest can be for a specific dollar amount. I leave $10,000 to Christ Church United Methodist. Or it can be for a percentage. I leave 20% of my estate to the church. It can be for a specific property. I leave my grand piano. It can be contingent. I leave this amount of money or the rest of my estate if my husband predeceases me. So that's contingent on something happening. It can be residual. After all of my gifts are made, I leave the rest of my estate to the church. Jeff Taylor, it's funny when you know Jeff and you travel with Jeff. I've been there 14 years, I think. You tell Jeff Taylor jokes. He says lawyers like lots of words, and it's rest, residual, and remainder. The more words you use, the better. So a bequest can be residual. You can take care of your family and your church in the same document, so it's flexible that way. And it can, as I mentioned, it can change as circumstances change. When you think about your will, what's it really called? It's your last will and testament, that's right. And where do we hear the word testament other times when we're in church? There's the Old Testament and there's the New Testament. Testament is about witness. So your will can be a witness to your faith. It can tell why you're leaving a gift. And one of the things we recommend at the foundation is you talk to your attorney about a Christian preamble. It's a paragraph at the beginning of your will that talks about why you are leaving the gifts you're leaving. You can do that in a separate letter if you want to do that, but you can talk to your attorney about a Christian preamble. There's an example of the beginning of one on the screen. It just talks about why you're leaving the gifts you do. It's a witness, a verbal witness to your faith. And then the gifts you leave are action. They are the actions demonstrating your faith. So a will can be a testament to your faith, both in words and in deeds. In the back of the handout, if you pick one of those up, there's some resources for you. There's one about bequests, and that includes a longer, more complete example of a Christian preamble and some will language that you could take to your attorney if you wanted to do that, or some examples of will language. Wills are only one of the ways that our estate passes from us to whoever we direct it to. The next slide talks about some of the other ways that you can think about that wealth passes from one person to the next or to the next organization. The will does not control all the transfer of property. In our country, a lot of property is transferred by joint property or survivorship. If you're married and you both own the house, then the house is passing to your spouse upon your death. That's a transfer of property that's outside of probate. But there are also beneficiary designations on retirement plans. And if you're thinking about which tool to use, which source to use for a charitable gift, you might want to think about a retirement plan, because gifts from your retirement plan to your children are going to be income to them and taxable. But of course, to a charity or to your church, they're not, because the church is a nonprofit. So you may think, do I leave the gift in my will to the church or from my retirement plan? The retirement plan might be a better benefit to your family to use to leave a gift. You can also think about beneficiary designations on life insurance policies. You can, of course, give a life insurance policy to your church or to the foundation to benefit your church. You can also make the church a beneficiary on the life insurance policy that you own. And you may want to evaluate, do I need to have this life insurance policy anymore for who I had it for? You may need to update those beneficiary designations. Or you could think about putting your church, the foundation, as the third or fourth beneficiary. So if the ones ahead of it predecease you, then the church would benefit from your life insurance policy. POD and TOD accounts, that's payment on death and transfer on death. A payable on death account is a bank account that is payable on death to the beneficiary you designate. The account is totally under your control while you're alive, and then it passes outside of probate to the person you designate. Transfer on death is kind of the same thing, but it's usually a retirement account, something that has a named beneficiary, an asset with a named beneficiary. So it's another way to pass your proceeds from your estate on to someone else without going through probate. And in West Virginia, there's something called a transfer on death deed, which is for real estate that works the same way. Another thing to think about are qualified charitable distributions. These began when Katrina hit New Orleans. It was one of the ways that the federal government decided they could provide a benefit to charities that were in the field working to help the area recover by allowing people who are 70 and a half years old or older to, from their administrator, instruct that the administrator send a contribution to a qualified charitable organization up to $100,000, but of any amount under that. Normally when you receive a distribution from your IRA, it is taxable. But in this case, you don't have to pay taxes on it. You also don't get a charitable deduction for it. So it's tax neutral, but it's a way, especially if you have a required minimum distribution that you really don't need, it's a way to make a charitable gift during your lifetime that is tax neutral. You don't have to pay income tax on. You have to make sure that that distribution comes directly from your administrator to the church, to the foundation, without you ever touching it. I mean, it can't be income to you at any point. And we can help with that and if you have questions about it. But it's called a QCD. It's also called an IRA rollover. They're the same thing. There are gifts with lifetime income. So, for example, if you have a stock that's not producing any dividends for you, but you need income, you can make a gift of that stock, create one of these, using one of these tools, and receive income while you make the gift. The first and most simple is a qualified or charitable gift annuity. Charitable gift annuity is a contract with the foundation. You make the gift, and the foundation promises to pay you a particular income every year for the rest of your life. And that can be for one person or for two people. Two people are usually spouses, but it can be up to two people. And for two people, it continues through the death of the second person. So you make the gift, you receive income back. That income is determined by the value of the gift at the time you make it and by your age. So we use rates that are set by the American Council on Gift Annuities. Those rates are designed to leave 50% of the gift upon your death if you live your life expectancy, although we have had several charitable gift annuitants who've lived to be over 100. I'm not guaranteeing anything. There's no guarantees in my field of work, but they do seem to live a long time, which is wonderful. So you receive that income for your life, guaranteed by the foundation. And at the end of your life, the residual, the remainder of that, goes to, say, the church or to an endowment set up for the church or to a combination of different charities of your choice. That's established at the time you make the gift. The next slide talks about some of the rates, just to give you an example. Let's look at 80 years old. An 80-year-old would have a rate of 6.5% of the original gift. So the chart is set up for a gift of $10,000. Makes my life easier because the math is easier and I can do it in my head a little bit. But for $10,000, the annual income to the person is $650 each year, every year for the rest of your life. Part of that is tax-free because you're getting money back that you gave. And so for that 80-year-old, it's $506 of that is tax-free up into your life expectancy. After that, if you live beyond your life expectancy, it is taxable income. And there is a potential charitable deduction not equal to the gift because you are receiving some of the gift back, but you can see in this chart it's about $5,400 for a charitable tax deduction. There is a resource at the back of the handout that gives you the rates for every age for single person who's making a gift, one person making a gift. If you have questions about this or want to see a proposal, call the foundation. We can run you a proposal that will explain all the tax implications of it and that you can take to your financial advisor and talk about it. But the rates for two people are a little different than the single person. I wanted to mention that. And those rates will be going up on July 1st. So that's also something to think about. And your age is calculated. If you're 60 years old, you turn 60 on your birthday, but for charitable gift annuity purposes, you turn 60 6 months before your birthday. A little benefit. To go along with charitable gift annuities, there are gifts with lifetime income that are a little more complicated than charitable gift annuities, but also more flexible. Those are charitable remainder trusts. And this is where I think charitable gift planners like to show off, because we call them CRATs and CRUTs and NIMCRUTs with a flip and NICRUTs with a flip. I think we just love to say all that and be confusing. But we'll break down the alphabet soup a little bit. First is a CRUT, a charitable remainder unit trust. Very similar to a charitable gift annuity, except that the rate is chosen by the donor. It's between 5 and 50%, but most people choose between 5 and 7 or 8%. You receive on the value of the trust is valued every year. So instead of a rate that for charitable gift annuity, the rate is set and it doesn't change. The amount never changes. For these charitable remainder trusts, or CRUTs, the amount does change each year because it's revalued every year. So if the CRUT increases in value, the amount you receive each year will increase. Or if it decreases, the amount you receive will decrease. So it's a little more flexible. It's a little more complicated. It has to file a tax return, which the foundation does, but it's a little more involved. There's a CRAT, which is a charitable remainder annuity trust, which sets a percentage, and that amount doesn't change. It's based on a fixed amount for the life of the gift. Most people who do these do CRUTs because of the flexibility. You can also add gifts to these as you go along. You can increase the value of it by making more donations to it. You do get a charitable deduction in the year of the gift and some favorable tax treatment on the income. One more tool I wanted to talk about are gifts of appreciated security. The United Methodist Foundation has a discount brokerage account, and we offer that as a service. And one of the ways we serve is to offer this to individuals or churches who have stocks that they want to give as a gift. You can direct your financial advisor to send the stock to our discount brokerage account. We, as part of a policy, immediately sell it, or as soon as we're able to sell it, as soon as possible. And then the proceeds can be directed as you tell us they are. So, for example, there's a person in the Little Kanawha district who contributes to his annual giving every year by making a stock gift. He makes the gift to the foundation with directions: send it to my church, tell them it's part of my annual gift. And so we receive the stock, we sell it, we send a check to the church, and with a letter that says, this is part of John Smith's annual giving, please add it to credit to his account. We do that with no fee to the foundation. There is a small fee that the bank charges. Those are just a few of the tools of the ways that you can get the tire off the rim or make the plan giving. The way you're called to give happen. And as you follow God's call in your life and as you live into generosity, we are here to help. And if you have questions about legacy giving anytime, today or anytime, the foundation is there to help. We're glad to meet with you, to answer any questions you might have, to help you find the tool you need when you're in that sacred space of planning your legacy for the church. I did mention there were resources in the back. The next page of the handout is our contact information. Jeff Taylor is the president of the foundation. He is an attorney, and he's a deacon in the United Methodist Church. I'm at the foundation. I'm also involved in legacy giving. I'm a layperson who used to be a biologist, so I can answer questions. If you want to know about malaria, I can tell you what causes it and how to raise money to combat it. But our contact information is there. We're always available to help. The resources at the back of the book, there's a handout that looks a lot like the little brochure you have, but in one-page format. There's some information about bequests, about charitable gift annuities. There's a chart that'll show you, what you're looking for and what gift might work best, and some information about estate planning. Our website is always available as well. There's some intense information about plan giving there. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask that I can help with? I'm glad to answer questions or do the best I can.
It's right there.
It's a lot of information to get at one time.
Yeah, it is a lot of information, Kim. This is Jay. I'm back here. Again, if y'all have questions, please share them with her. And also, Bob, I didn't know if we were catching any on the chat, so, he was monitoring our chat to see if there was any questions there. So, any of y'all, please share your questions. One thing I found very helpful in the back there is this one planned giving guide that kind of gives you all of those and kind of some of the advantages of each in kind of a one-page format, which I like because I don't have to flip through so many pages. But anyway, it's a nice way to kind of get a sense of some of the different tools that you can use. So.
Or gives you a place to start and ask questions later as you think about, what was this one? How does this work? We're there to help you understand.
Are there anybody else have any questions? Good. All right.
Bob has his hand up.
Bob has one. Good.
Yes, there is something called a deferred charitable gift annuity where you set it up, say, today, and it doesn't pay out until you choose the date in the future. It has to be at least a year, I think, but you choose the date in the future. Maybe you set it up when you're 16, you're going to retire when you're 70, and you wanted to start paying when you retire. So you give us a date when you would want it to start distributing. The rates for those are a little different because you have that 10 years to build up a little more in the account before it distributes. That's one of them. There's also one called a flexible deferred charitable gift annuity, which is a more complicated one, but gives you the opportunity to choose the date later rather than at the beginning of the gift. We can run proposals for either one of those, but those are additional tools that there are to help you plan. No, and you can definitely combine them. For example, we had a woman, she was a CPA, but she started being a CPA back in the time when women weren't really generally accepted as CPAs, and they wouldn't let her in the CPA association. So she joined the Estate Planning Association, but she knew that a charitable gift annuity was the tool she needed during her lifetime. She had lots of securities that were about $5,000 or $6,000, but she needed the income. So every year on her birthday, she would create another charitable gift annuity. And she had over 18 of them at the time she died. So that was one tool she used, laddering charitable gift annuities. And then upon her death, she left a gift from her retirement plan to be added to those. So there are ways to combine them, and we can help you think about that too. Maybe a donor advised fund, which we didn't talk about, flowing into an endowment at your death. Or there's just lots of ways to combine them, yes. Uh-huh. Is it correct that you cannot fund a charitable gift annuity with an IRA? That is exactly right. At this point in time, according to the law, you cannot fund a charitable gift annuity using an IRA rollover, a QCD, because you can't receive benefit back from those rollovers. And with a charitable gift annuity, you are receiving. The theory, I think, is that the government has let you create that IRA tax-free, and they want their taxes. So you can't put it in something that's going to pay you money back that doesn't have that income tax on it. Yes. Anything that gives you a benefit cannot be a vehicle to receive an IRA rollover. Like if you give to your university and they give you free football tickets for that, you can't do that either.
We offer free seats in the church, but it's for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you give or not.
That's right. Give a gift and come to church for free.
That's right.
Don't give a gift and come to church for free.
That's right. We don't sell pews, right? Any others? Again, Kim, I don't see a whole lot more questions from the floor, but thank you for coming to be with us today. Those of you that have joined us online, we are glad you were able to join with us as well. We will include this video on our Facebook page and also on our website so folks can hear your information, not just today, but whenever they would choose to.
Thank you very much, and if you have any questions in the future, please do contact us.
Thank you. All right, bless you guys. I've got to go do communion in the chapel. So I have to go.